person. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemy, my faith and trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand.
Show me the way, Lord.
I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way.
I want to say to the people that are watching live on the internet, good afternoon. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Day. This lesson is called Marriage and Family Conduct. Marriage and family conduct. You know, you see me say all the time that I don't counsel people. And the reason I don't is because if this Bible will not correct you, there is nothing I can say to you to correct you. And believe me, the Bible has more patience with you than I do, because I have a low tolerance for foolishness. But we're going to deal with this, because sometimes I wonder why some people are sitting here, because their behavior belies their understanding, or maybe they don't have any. But we're going to start this off with this family, this marriage and family conduct, because there's a little something in here for everybody. And the reason the Lord have all this stuff written, so you will know what to do. But we're going to start this in Genesis, the first chapter. Genesis, the first chapter, with the creation of man, well, with the blueprint of the creation of man. I have to say everything now precisely, because I have so many foolish people be called in here sometime. I'm wondering where these people come from. And I get some people sometimes go call in here and try to argue a point with me. And when I started in this word, their mamas was in his pampers. Genesis, the first chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 26, 1 and 26. Okay, go ahead.
And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air.
Go ahead.
And over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image.
God created man in his own image. Go ahead.
In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
So that lets you know that the female is created in God's image too. She is not created in the male's image, even though she was brought forth later. She is created in God's image. And the only reason God made a difference in the male and female is to procreate. No other reason. You notice women have heads just like we have, brothers. They have feet, eyes, mouth. You ever paid attention to that little small detail? But then God said that was his image, didn't he? Finish that.
Verse 28. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every creeping thing that moveth upon the earth.
Now, he blessed them and gave them, who are them? Male and female, power over the whole earth, sisters and brothers. Over all the animals, everything. So God was talking man, and not just man the male, man the species. And this is what people have to understand about this Bible. Man the species. Now let's go into Genesis, the second chapter. Finish that?
Yes.
It's Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to start reading at verse 7. It's just that the Lord just brought the woman along later, but she was there. Verse 7, go ahead and read.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
Now, man became a living soul, because that's what you are. But the Lord gave the man, even though we're in the image of God, he gave the man preeminence, because he is the one that God talked to in the beginning, all by himself. This is why I know. Skip down to verse 18. Verse 18, and go ahead.
And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him.
That let me know that the woman was not here when the Lord instructed this man. And gave, so now, when the Lord brought forth the woman, he had to bring her forth from a man. You know why? Because he want to make sure that everybody understand that we, the male and female, is one. Some of that, if that would ever resonate in your mind, that it cut down a lot of foolishness that goes down between man and woman. Go ahead and read.
And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them.
Go ahead.
And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field.
Go ahead.
But for Adam there was not found an help meet for him.
So he named that, brought all the beasts and everything. But still there was not a help that was suitable for Adam. So the Lord had to go back. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept. And he took one of his ribs.
Go ahead.
And closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman.
Now, we're going to show you the Lord did this for a reason, sisters and brothers. Because you get a man and woman, you get a husband and a wife, they're both in one house, but they are individuals instead of being a unit. And every time the unit is broken, it creates consequences. And people got to understand this, sisters and brothers. Lord made them that one for a reason. Go ahead and read.
And brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone.
Go ahead.
And flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man.
So Adam is the one that gave the woman, called a woman, woman. But he made a point that should be taken seriously. This is now flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone. God did that. People don't really understand when they say, you hear the preacher when he married, what God have put together, let no man put asunder. He don't understand how true that is. They was not being put together right then. They was put together in creation. Because the Lord have a plan, sisters and brothers. And every time somebody go outside the plan, you create consequences. Let's go on to 19th chapter. 24, go ahead and read. Verse 24, go ahead.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
That means a man and his wife are supposed to be one. Nobody is supposed to come in between a man and his wife. It's all that simple. Like I tell people at wedding, when you and your husband, or either you and your wife get into an argument, you go to your mother or you go to your side of the family, you're going to get a slanted piece of advice. Why? Because they're prejudiced towards you. Best thing for you to do, take a deep breath, take a walk, when everybody cool out, and talk about it again. Because everybody have a truckload of advice until they create a problem. Then don't nobody know you. Happens too many times. Now let's go to Matthew, the 19th chapter. Matthew chapter 19. Because sisters and brothers, the Lord tells you everything you need to know, but don't nobody want to deal with it. Everybody want to do what they want to do. Matthew chapter 19. We're going to start at verse 3. Matthew 19 and 3. People call me a lot of times, brother, ask me questions. I read stuff like this to them. Always trying to get me to get cut off with you. I ain't going with it. The book said what the book said. And every time somebody get out of whack, it creates a problem. Verse 3, go ahead and read.
The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
Go ahead.
And he answered and said unto them, have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
He lets you know they made male and female. He said at the beginning, he never intended for you to put away your spouse. Go ahead and read.
And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife,
Go ahead.
And they twain shall be one flesh.
They're one flesh. Go ahead and read.
Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
Look, the Lord put this combination together in the Garden of Eden, sisters and brothers. If God put it together, it's supposed to work. That's why a lot of brothers want to argue with me about more than one wife. Well, you know, Solomon had this, Solomon that. The Lord told for first thing, said when you set a king over you, he ain't supposed to add horses or multiply wives to himself. How more than one is a multiplication, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
I said, plus again, too, if you want to know how a house is built, go back to the foundation. God did not give Adam, Eve, Cynthia, and Margaret. That's the end of the story, ain't it?
Yes, it is. It's done.
So he said, what God have put together, let no man put asunder, because when you put it asunder, there's always consequences. Children suffer. Everybody suffer. Man, woman break up. She go get in a relationship. He go get in a relationship. They decide we're going to put it back together. They come together. Now you got a woman and a man out here floating. Somebody's mad, and somebody going to create a problem. Because you figure that somebody have been cheated. All because you can't simply follow the word of God. Go ahead and read.
Verse 7. They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give her a writing of divorcement and to put her away? He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives.
Now that's why. Because Moses, because them brothers treated them women so bad and dogged them out if they didn't like them, Moses said, hey, why don't you give them a written divorce and just let them go? Because go back and look at what Israel did to his woman and did to his women. I look at the same thing right now in India. They don't want somebody, they pour gasoline or oil them and burn them to death. And the rest of the men go with it. God said that wasn't supposed to be. And Jesus said, because of the hardness of your heart, because you treated these women so bad, I'd rather have a written divorce because I couldn't stand to watch it. Every time I turn around, some sister crying to me. Women mad at women. Well, that's my old man. If he was your old man, then he wouldn't have had her over here. You understand? Go ahead and read. So look what he said. Go ahead and read.
But from the beginning, it was not so.
It was never so. Like I said, there was nobody for Adam to go get if he put Eve away. So, hey, I may as well stay with her. Go ahead and read.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery.
Go ahead.
And whoso marrieth her which is put away, doth commit adultery.
Now, I didn't have to interpret that, did I?
No.
It is what it is, sisters and brothers. And people always want me to come and interpret, think I'm going to come up with something different.
It's the book.
It is what it is. You know, I'm going to tell you something. There are two things that I get more than anything when people call in here. Some stupid question like, is the earth flat? Or either my husband or my wife did this. And believe me, the husband and the wife thing is more than anybody. And I get tired of it. I get tired of it. Because if you can't serve God and keep his law, why are you here? It's all that simple. Why are you here? And in every generation, when the household break up, the children suffer. Every generation. Let's go into Ephesians, the 5th chapter. Ephesians chapter 5. Like an anonymous letter I got that time. Well, you need to have a lesson like this once a week. No, once a month at least. I said, no, they need to listen when I do have it. And you got this Bible just like I got it. There ain't no law said, well, when you leave the Israel of God and leave service, then you shut the Bible up and don't read no more. You got to do this, sisters and brothers. You got to do this. And you think you're getting away with something when you misbehave. You ain't getting away with nothing. You're just getting by. The Lord said he come and his reward is with him. And all that ain't positive reward either. Right. I want you to understand that. Ephesians chapter 5. We're going to start reading at verse 22. Ephesians 5 and verse 22. Okay, go ahead.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord.
Go ahead.
For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church.
See, now the Lord made it that way. That's why I put more blame on the man than I do the woman. Because the man know better. And if he didn't know better, that's because he ain't paid no attention. Go ahead and read.
And he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
Go ahead.
Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church.
Even as Christ also loved the church. Go ahead and read.
And gave himself for it.
Now that's a big thing, ain't it? Jesus gave his life for the church. Husband don't even want to give some women the key to the refrigerator. You're supposed to look at her just like the Lord looked at the church. Skip down to verse 28 and go ahead.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
Ain't that because didn't she come from him? He that loveth his wife loveth himself. Go ahead and read.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh.
How many times you hate your own flesh or slap yourself down? Nobody have. Go ahead and read.
But nourisheth it and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church. For we are members of his body.
Go ahead.
Of his flesh and of his bones.
Go ahead.
For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife.
Oh, you mean Paul is talking the same kind of stuff that Moses wrote? Yes, sir. Go ahead and read.
And they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery.
Go ahead.
But I speak concerning Christ and the church.
He compared to marriage to Jesus and the church, sisters and brothers. That's how important it is to God. Go ahead and read.
Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself. And the wife see that she reverence her husband.
And she's supposed to reverence her husband and give him his respect. But brother, if you want to be respect, you have to command respect. How do you command? You notice I use the word command and not demand? Because when you demand something, it's out of your mouth. When you command it, you get it by your behavior. So you can freely say, give me what I've given you. If you've given the right thing gonna come back to you. It's all that simple, sisters and brothers. All that simple. Let's go into Proverbs, the 18th chapter. Proverbs chapter 18. Because these things, sisters and brothers, the Lord put here for our consumption. But don't nobody want to read. What you won't do is you won't do wrong and then pick up the phone and call me. We're going to read one verse. Verse 22. 18 and 22. Okay, read it.
Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Lord.
So when you get a wife, I'm talking about a real wife, one that's in your corner, she's from the Lord. You found favor from the Lord. Let's go into Proverbs 19 and verse 14. Chapter 19 and verse 14. Go ahead.
House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord.
And that is it, sisters and brothers. Sometimes the Lord sends you a wife, but you're young and you're stupid and you mess it up. Now when you're trying to go back and fix it, it's too late. She don't trust you no more. It's all that simple. I know I'm a man. We do the messing up. And then we try to justify it. God gave you, made you the head. If you fix it, it will be fixed. Proverbs 31. Because we want to look at this, sisters and brothers. We want to look at this because it is time for us to get away from this. We say we serve as a God. If you're serving a God, then what's the problem? God have told you everything that you can and cannot do. I mean, it's all here. Mm-hmm. You can't stand before him and see, Lord, see, you left a gray area there. He didn't leave no gray area. It's there. Proverbs 31, because he said, if you find a virtuous, wife is favored from the Lord. I mean, this is a virtuous woman. She's going to do everything she can to do you good. Mm-hmm. Proverbs 31, and we're going to start reading at verse 10. Proverbs 31 and 10. Okay, go ahead.
Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
Go ahead.
The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil.
He don't have to hide his money. He don't have to hide nothing because she ain't going to take it from him. Go ahead and read.
She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life.
She is always in his corner and want to do him good. All the days of her life. She ain't going to do no evil thing to him. This is a virtuous woman. Too many times we have this woman, but we don't have the man to match it. Skip down to verse 25. Verse 25, and go ahead.
She maketh fine linen and selleth it.
I said verse 25.
My bad.
Okay. Go ahead.
Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
Go ahead.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
She ain't always talking crazy, saying stupid things. When she talks, she say what need to be said. And sometimes you might think about that. If it don't need to be said, why say it? Because sometimes you say stuff that you wish you hadn't said, but once it come out your mouth, it is always there. 40 years from now, you're going to get hit with it. Go ahead and read.
She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness.
Go ahead.
Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her.
Because she is doing things, doing the right things. And sometimes brothers don't like to praise or compliment their wife. Like, hey, I'm giving her. No, you know. I've seen brothers sometimes, they know a person, a friend, a woman or something. They open the door and be a gentleman. Then they go with their wife. She get in the car and he get in the car. What's wrong with opening the door for her? We need to come to that, sisters and brothers. We need to come to that. Because the man, like I said, and other when the head covering, this is what, when it wasn't, when people want to throw Eve under the bus, it wasn't about Eve at all. It was about Adam. And we got to remember that. Skip down to verse 31. But then her behavior is what's going to reward her. Go ahead and read.
Give her of the fruit of her hand, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
So that's what's going to take care of her, if she do the right thing. And always well by her husband. He ain't going to turn on her, unless he is a Nabal. We got a few of them out there too. But normally, he would be the exception. But it's getting to the point now, the unruly spouse is the norm. Now let's go. In Proverbs 12, we're going to be out of Proverbs after a little bit. But I want to read one verse. Proverbs 12 and verse 1. Just want to say one more thing about this virtuous woman. Proverbs 12 and 1. Because you got a lot, I know we got a lot of brothers that got good wives, sisters and brothers. Always trying to do the right thing. They're always ragging on them, talking down to them. Maybe you figure she ain't so much because she dealt with you. You shouldn't do that. 12 and 4, read it.
A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband.
A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. She always around. She ain't talking foolish, ain't getting off into no gossip, ain't dealing, creating no confusion. Hey, man, like that kind of wife. You ain't got to worry about how to clean up a mess that she done started. You ain't got to talk to her just to see what she done said stupid that you got to defend. That's a crown to a man. Don't have to worry about it. Don't care who she talk to, where she talk at, who she talk with. You don't have to worry about no stupid conversation come back to you that came out of her mouth. That's a crown to a man. Finish that verse.
But she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness to his bones.
And that is a fact. She doesn't make him ashamed because of behavior and because of conversation. Always stupid and down here. Man, rottenness in his bones. Don't want to hear. Because, sisters and brothers, the Lord, when he put this together, it was a thing of wisdom. And sometimes, if you know that a woman is a big headache, you might do like Saul said. You want to give her to your enemy. Let's go into 1 Samuel 18 chapter. 1 Samuel chapter 18. Because I've seen some brothers end up with some sisters that I was run from. But because he ended up with her and I know what he was about, I say it couldn't have happened to a nicer person. It's all that simple. Now, this is Saul, was the first king of Israel. Saul did wrong all the time, and God anointed David to take over his place. And now Saul hated David. And he was always trying to do something to bring about David's demise. So he found out something about, now everybody know his daughter. I know my daughter. I know my daughter. You understand? I know certain things, man, somebody can say about my daughter, I know better because I know her. And the average man knows his daughter more than he do his son. Because there's some kind of bond now, sisters and brothers. So let's look at this. 1 Samuel 18, and we're going to start at verse 20. 18 and 20. Okay, go ahead.
And Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David. And they told Saul, and the thing pleased him.
Ain't that something? He found out his daughter loved David, and it pleased him. Let's see why. Go ahead.
And Saul said, I will give him her, and that she may be a snare to him.
Ain't that something? Because he know his daughter was a headache. So I'm glad to know that she loved David. Now I'm gonna give her to David because she's gonna be a snare to him. Go ahead and read.
And that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Saul said to David, Thou shalt this day be my son-in-law in the one of the twain.
So I'm gonna give you one of my daughters. Because he's going to know this woman, he's going to go out against the Philistines. She's going to be to warn him so much until his mind going to be on going home, and he's going to walk into something and get killed. Because if your household is out of order, you are occupied all the time. And you can't put your mind on what you need to put your mind on. I used to know this guy. Me and him used to run together. I was single and he was married. But he won't stay and ever want to go home. Man, why don't you go home to your wife? Man, no, go home to your wife. One time, he invited me home with him. I went. Okay. I wouldn't want to go home neither. And that's a fact. That's a fact. So now, because you go home and all you got is headaches. Let's go into Proverbs, the 21st chapter. Proverbs chapter 21. And we're going to read one verse. Proverbs 21 and verse 9. 21 and 9. Okay, go ahead.
It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house.
The Lord knows that is a fact. You understand? So that was David's problem. Saul gave him his daughter. He gave him a brawling woman. And sometimes the same thing. Now, some brothers, they got a reason. But if he's a man of God, he still ain't going to leave his wife for no other reason but what the Lord said. Brother called me all the time. Man, my wife, she don't want to cook me no food. She don't want to clean the house, you know, and she gone here good. I said, did she sleep with another man? No. I said, I'm sorry, partner, she yours. That's the end of the conversation. You understand? I don't hear no other explanation. Man, she drunk. She stayed drunk. Did she sleep with another guy? No, she yours. However drunk she might be. She cusses me all the time. Did she sleep with her? No, she yours. According to the book. Right. Now, if you want to do something different, that's between you and God, not between you, me, and God, because I am not getting in between it. Only time I get involved with this male and female stuff, if you bring it up in the Israel of God and start creating a disturbance. I hear about it once. And if it come up again, then the one that creates disturbance will mysteriously disappear. Because I've had a mercy walk her to the door or him to the door. I've done that a few times. People don't know I've thrown women out of the Israel of God too. I want y'all to understand that, sisters. Get foolish up in here. I do you well. See, I figure this is a house of wisdom. Ain't no spots in here for fools. And I will not allow you to exist in here. But brother, you can't do that. Try me. Brother, don't try me. But it says better to dwell in a housetop in a corner than in a huge mansion with a brawling woman. That's right. So let's look at this. Let's go into 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter. You know, David was king, and they went up. They had made a mistake once and went up to get the Ark of the Covenant. And the brother put his hand on the Lord, killed him. This time they finally fixed it and went up again, and they were bringing the Ark of the Covenant back, and everybody was happy. Everybody was rejoicing because they was bringing back the Ark of the Covenant, you know, which represent the presence of God. And David being king, you know, but he is happy too because he know that the Lord accepted him to allow him to bring it back up. And let's look at what happened here. 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 14. 6 and 14. Okay, go ahead.
And David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod.
Now, David was happy. You understand? So he had a linen thing on. You understand? You know, so he was happy because he was bringing back the Ark of the Covenant back to Israel because it had been out there in his guy Obed-Edom's house. Go ahead and read.
So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet.
Go ahead.
And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord. And she despised him in her heart.
Ain't that something? It should have been happy for her. Her husband, the king, is bringing back the Ark of the Covenant. The covenant of the God of Israel. Everybody's rejoicing, and everybody's rejoicing. All she can do is look at her husband out there dancing. You know what I'm pretty sure, you know, now he acting like a commoner. So she hated him in her heart. Skip down to verse 20 and go ahead.
Then David returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel today.
Go ahead.
Who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids and of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself.
Can you imagine David? He is happy. This is a good day. And he goes to his own house to bless his own house. And his wife hit him with that foolishness. All of a sudden, you just put a pin in my balloon. I'm looking for you to meet me rejoicing too. I am happy for you, my husband.
Yes.
You act like a commoner. You out there dancing all naked in front of the women. Acting just like a regular old bum head on the street.
Yeah.
And you the king. David reciprocated. I know he's out of anger. Go ahead and read.
And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord.
So it's before the Lord. That's what she should have seen it too. It was before the Lord. It wasn't before no women. You understand? I wasn't trying to impress nobody. Go ahead and read.
Which chose me before thy father and before all his house.
Go ahead.
To appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel.
He said, I was doing that before the Lord that replaced your father with me. And didn't get nobody else out of your lineage either. Go ahead and read.
Therefore will I play before the Lord. And I will yet be more vile than thus.
Go ahead.
And will be base in mine own sight.
Go ahead.
And of the maid servants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor.
So okay then, so all them maids that you talking about them damn, well, hey, they're going to respect me. They're going to love me. Because it's a bad thing. The happiest day of your life, you go to your house. And the one that you love more is the one that pours salt on you. Bad day. Bad day. Yeah. But then, her daddy knew she was like that.
Yes, he did.
What verse is that?
That was the end of 22.
Go ahead and read.
Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death.
The Lord closed up her womb. Or either David said, skip it. See, you don't want me. Ain't nothing going down from this day on. Either way it goes, she never had a child.
Never had a child.
And in those days, a woman's glory was children. But then her daddy knew what she was, sisters and brothers. He knew that she was a brawling woman. And he knew that nothing David could do to please this woman. So I'm going to keep him occupied with this woman, and he's going to get sloppy in war and get killed. So this is the thing with two sides to it, sisters and brothers. Two sides. Now let's go into 1 Peter, the 3rd chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. 1 Peter, the 3rd chapter. I hear some people sometimes, especially young ladies, brother, boy, will you help me find a husband? That thing go ugly. I don't want you in my face. Well, see, you the one that's, It ain't going to happen. 1 Peter, like the old saying, choose your own poison.
That's right.
3rd chapter, we're going to start at verse 1, 3 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
See, that's the whole thing, too. Some of you wives, if you married to a Nabal, you just keep being the woman of God. You keep being virtuous. Sooner or later, shame going to get him. You understand? And he have to change his behavior. You just do your part. Don't worry about what he ain't, that's on him. You do what you're supposed to do. Go ahead and read.
While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear.
See, you can change their whole mind. They keep looking and looking. Yeah, I know this woman going to do something foolish. Then they do stupid stuff and you don't reciprocate. You just keep doing what you're going to do. After a while, I can't keep being like this here.
Right.
I got to straighten my act out. Skip down to verse 7. Verse 7 and go ahead.
Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge.
Now pay attention to what it says now. Likewise, you husband, dwell with them according to knowledge. What knowledge? The knowledge of the Lord. Finish that.
Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel.
Go ahead.
And as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
Giving honor to her as the weak vessel, as heirs together, that your prayers be not hindered. Get it, brother? He can go home. He ugly to his wife. He ugly to his children. But you're going to come out here, my brother, shalom, my brother. Peace in the name of the Lord is looking at that. But you're going home and you're being ugly. I can say anything to him. Or either this brother can say anything. Oh, my brother, I understand. Wife said a wise thing to me. You don't do. Who do you think you are? I'm the head of the household. Do you understand what the head of the household means? That means when can't nobody else work, brother, you got to go and get some work. You got an umbrella that cover 2 people. So if you got your wife and your child here, then you put the umbrella over them and you walk in the rain. That's what the head of the household is. It is whatever need to be done, the head of the household is going to take care of the business. But if you're not the head, stop trying to act like it. What you mean stop trying to act like I don't do no work, I don't bring in nothing, I don't do nothing, I don't take no responsibility. What I am is I am a grown boy. You can't have that. And it happens too much. What verse are we?
That was
the end
end of verse 7.
Well, let's go, like I said, and the Lord said, dwell with them according to knowledge that your prayers be not hindered. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go into Malachi, the 3rd chapter. Malachi, the 3rd chapter. See, people don't understand. You ain't by yourself. Right. When you roughing somebody up behind closed doors, then you're going to come out, you're all nice. Somebody looking at you. Then things start happening to you. And now you want to know why they're happening. We're going to find out why they start happening to you. Malachi, the 2nd chapter. Malachi chapter 2. Malachi chapter 2. And let's start reading at verse 13. Malachi 2 and 13. Okay, read.
And this have ye done again, covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that he regarded not the offering anymore.
Go ahead.
Or receiveth it with goodwill at your hand.
So he said, yes, that's done. You're always crying to me and weeping and all this. He said, and your offering, that's just your prayer. It get to the point I don't even want it no more. And I don't even receive it at your hand. Then you're going to ask the question, why? Go ahead and read.
Yet ye say, wherefore?
Why? Go ahead.
Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth.
It's because I've been looking in your bedroom. I've been looking in your household. I've been watching your behavior toward the wife of your youth or the wife of your covenant. I see this. Go ahead and read.
Against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant.
Don't you know it's a covenant when you walk into it? And any time you break a covenant, consequences come about. Fallout is about it. He said, I saw that. That's why I ain't listening to your prayer. That's why you're working and trying to accomplish something, and you're putting it in a bag with a hole in it. You're always running, but you ain't never got nowhere. You're tired, but you don't have nothing. Because I've been watching you. I've been watching the treachery that you have been perpetrating on the woman of your youth or the woman of your covenant. I see that. And this is something written that you need to know. Go ahead and read.
And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit.
He went back to the beginning. I made one. I had the residue of the Spirit. I could have went back in the ground and dug some more dirt out and made the woman. No, I took her from out of you so you will understand this woman is you and you are this woman. You're supposed to behave like a unit. When one hurt, the other one hurt. Go ahead and read.
And wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed.
Yes, sir. Because that physical one also represents a spiritual one. You understand? You're on the same wavelength. Your mind is in the right place. Both of you are doing what thus said the Lord. Go ahead and read.
Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth.
So you better take account of your behavior. You better watch what you're doing. And he said, don't be treacherous to the wife of your youth. Go ahead and read.
For the Lord, the God of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away.
That's a strong motion, ain't it? The Lord, the God of Israel, said he hate putting away. Because it creates consequences. It's all that simple. Put your wife away. She young, you young. Now they're going to go out and mess somebody, get in somebody else's life. And usually the one that do the putting away, he ain't going to stay that long, and then he's going to go and get in somebody else's life. Worse yet, you try to go back and fix the life that you messed up in the beginning. Now you got somebody across the street said, look at here. He done dropped me. He done abandoned me. He done did this to me. Now you created problems, sister and brother. But after you had stayed at home, Mr. or Mrs., it would have been nothing but calm and tranquility. I know it happens, sisters and brothers. Israel God is a big congregation. I'm the pastor of a whole lot of people, and it all comes to me. And I tell them just like it is. You got to stand before God, not me. The only time you got to deal with me, if you're going to come in any one of the churches that the Lord done put me over, that's all 24 of them, and you create a disturbance, I am going to separate you from the Israel of God. I am not going to let you bring your venom and pour it on this congregation. It's just like you get people like me that got out of the baby business for a long time. But you get somebody got children, and their children be running over everything, knocking the seats over, swinging from the light, and they still talking. We ain't used to that. We don't have to get used to that. They are yours. Or he or she is yours. We don't have to understand. Y'all get my point? What verse was that?
Middle of 16.
Go ahead.
For one covereth violence with his garments, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit that ye deal not treacherously.
And that's what happened. You're treacherous, you're violent, you're lying on the woman, lying to the woman. Then you create you a monster. Now you can't live with her. But if this monster don't go out and sleep with another man, you got a partner, and you put her away, God's going to hold your feet to the fire. The too many women, like I see women fighting women over some dude. I want to tell both of them, he ain't worth it. Because if he worth it, then one of y'all wouldn't have got involved. You understand? Because he wouldn't have walked outside. I still go back to Adam and Eve. Ain't nothing to discuss. Let's go into 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Because sisters and brother, the Lord put this here. Now you go out and you create a problem. Now I got to live with it. I ain't going to live with it. Now you know what I do with problems? I just get them away from me. So if you cut some sister off or some brother get cut off because of some misbehaving sister, it's on them. But the brother ain't supposed to get cut off because of misbehaving. You the head. You're supposed to control this thing. It's all that simple. You're supposed to control everything. I used to say all the time, everything that belongs to me is mine. I'm going to make sure they eat if I go hungry. This is the attitude you got to have if you're going to be the head of the household. I said a little thing here, and ain't many people paid no attention. Every feast, I'm the last one to eat. You know why? Because I figure I'm the head of this congregation. So when everybody eat, I can't eat. If we run out of food, I know it because I didn't eat. That might be a small thing, but that's the way I look at it. But the world is backwards. You sit down at dinner, the preacher's the first one to get the chicken. In the old days, the preacher visit your house, the husband and children, everybody got to sit there till mama fix the food for the preacher. I never understood that. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. We're going to start reading at verse 10. 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 10. Okay, go ahead.
And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife.
Now, he said the Lord said this, and I'm gonna roll with it, but go ahead and read.
But to the rest speak I, not the Lord.
Now, see, Paul had to go somewhere where Moses went with the written of divorcement, because he started looking at all these flawed people and what they was doing to one another. He said, so look, I got to say something. So this is what I say, not the Lord. Go ahead and read.
If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
You know, I actually have people come to me. See, my old lady is Jehovah's Seventh-day Adventist, man, and look at her, man, she just won't come, man. I feel like I'm unequally yoked. When he get through talking, I ask him, say, she cook your food? Yeah. She clean the house? Yeah. Do you kind of? Yeah. What's your problem? She is yours. But if she don't do none of that, and she don't go out there and deal with another man, she's still yours. So now, the ones that get up and leave, I use this same thing, but remember Paul said, not I, not the Lord, but I. Let's finish. What else he said? Go ahead and read.
And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
And that's, you know, if he pleased, he's going to try to respect her. You understand? I'll go along with with your religion or whatever. I might not be a part of it, but I'm not going to beat you over the head about it. But now you done come here, you're looking at all these holy women around you. I want to get me a holy woman. I want to get me a woman in Israel because I don't want to be unequally yoked. With that kind of mindset, then she'd be unequally yoked.
That's right.
She hook up with you. You got what you got. And if you don't keep what you got up in here, you don't get to keep your seat. But we're going to do this thing, sisters and brothers. And if we ain't going to do it right, we ain't going to do it at all. That's just simple as that. Go ahead and read.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband.
Now you the one. After a while, you might clean them up. Go ahead and read.
Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy.
Go ahead.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. You can't hold nobody, no pistol over nobody. Go ahead and read.
A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases.
And I see that, sister and brother. So people call me brother, boy, you know, I come in this world and look, I was married 10 years ago. Can I get married again? Who left who? He left me. I said, going on, let this be the first day of your life. However, be smarter than you were the last time. What you being smart? You must have did something stupid because that didn't work. In other words, look where you're going this time before you jump. Well, ain't nobody innocent, like nobody. Go ahead and read. What verse?
Middle 15. But God hath called us to peace. But what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband?
Go ahead.
Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife?
So who knows? If you do the right thing, you could save them. People watch your behavior. They might talk a little crazy and act obstinate, but they watch your behavior. There's sisters in here right now. Her husband is dead, but she told me years ago, she said, this guy started the Israel of God, and I started watching him. And I saw the change set in him, I said, something can change this guy. I'm going to see what it is. And she got here, and she liked what changed him. She watched it. But if your spouse get up and leave it, then ain't nothing you can do about that, sisters and brothers. But as long as you're there, you're supposed to deal with according to the word of God. What verse was that, 16?
That was the end of 16.
Let's go into 1 Timothy, the 5th chapter. Because the man has to take care of his household, sisters and brothers. Because I hear people, well, you know, my husband, he's in the church all the time and he this and that, but he don't work. How come he don't work? Well, he's too busy getting the word of God. Paul left something for you, brother that's too busy, that don't take care of your household. 1 Timothy, 5th chapter, and verse 8. 1 Timothy 5 and 8. Read it.
But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he had denied the faith.
He have denied the faith. Now remember this. If you don't provide for those of your own household, you have denied the faith. Go ahead and read.
And is worse than an infidel.
Infidel is bad enough, but you're worse than an infidel. You're going to come in here, you're supposed to be a man of God. Your wife is the one that's working. She paying the rent. She getting the grocery. Then you're going to walk in there and play king. I'd be ashamed. I had a brother said something to me one time, and from that day on, I really respected him. He didn't have a suitable income, but he was trying. His wife did better, went out and bought her a car. And I said, so why don't you drive the car? I don't want to drive it. I didn't contribute nothing to it. I said, man, I need more men around me like this. You understand? So if you don't provide for your own, you have denied the faith, and you are worse than an infidel. And I look at people. Look at men fighting over certain. Why are you fighting over somebody? Women, why are you fighting over them? It's obvious if you got to fight over them, you ain't worth it. It's all that simple. Proverbs 23, word full of them, baby. Proverbs 23. Proverbs chapter 23. See, these things, yeah, Lord got it written in here too, because he wants you to know this. So if you don't do it, it's going to be a witness against you. Because I can't stand this foolishness, sister and brother, because it destroys people. There's a little leaven the whole lot. You see, people bring foolishness here. The reason I separate people that like to create foolishness is because you got some innocent person, you get some new person, they come here. And they walk over and they see this foolishness. I ain't going back there. Must be a house full of whores and whoremongers. Women fighting over men. It ain't going to happen here. You know, when I was younger, I used to say all the time, before I allow that kind of foolishness to go on in the Israel of God, I will put some gasoline on it and burn it down. This time I won't do it. I just get rid of you. Proverbs 23, let's start at verse 19. 23 and 19. This is a message to this brother that's full of godliness and don't know that he done denied the faith and ain't taking care of his business. 19, go ahead.
Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thine heart in the way. Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty.
Go ahead.
And drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
Ain't that something? Now you got a family at home. You're going to go out with the boys and y'all going to party, y'all eating and everything good, and you ain't taking care of your business? It's going to bring you to poverty. Because the Lord said he's been watching you and the wife of your youth or the wife of your covenant. He's going to start taking stuff from you. You do that because of your misbehaving, sisters and brothers. Then you wonder, how did I get here? Because the Lord said he brought you there because you have misbehaved. You got a wife at home, you want to go out. Like I knew for a minute there, I talked to a Hebrew because they had a lot of these young brothers going out. They got wives at home, but they going to get together. See, we the brothers in the word. We're going to go out and we're going to have some fun and this here. Now you wondering why your wife, then you're going to say, brother, I don't know what's going on in my household. I said, you just told me. All you young brothers got wives at home. Now y'all going to go out and party because you holy brothers together. If you wanted to be holy brothers together, to party together, then you should not have gotten wives. Should have stayed single. It's all that simple. Because once you come together, you and the boys can't convert no more. And you and the girls can't hang out and party all the time. You got a spouse at home. But we want to get what we want to get and don't give up nothing for everything costs. You have to give up something for everything, sisters and brothers. Let's go into 24th chapter of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 24. Everything have a price tag. If you ain't prepared to give up nothing, then don't take nothing. We're going to start at verse 27. Proverbs 24 and verse 27. Okay, read it.
Prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house.
In other words, the Lord said, what you got to do is be wise. You got to prepare. Make preparation for your life. Do what it need to be done to live good. You understand? Everybody wants to live good. Then he said, then you build your house. Skip down to verse 30 and go ahead.
I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding.
Slothful means lazy. I went by the field of the lazy, and the man that's void of understanding, because if he had understanding of God, then he wouldn't be lazy. He said, I went by his field. Go ahead and read.
And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof.
Thorns had covered the walls, and the field full of thorns. Go ahead and read.
And the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw and considered it well.
Go ahead.
I looked upon it and received instruction.
Ain't that something? I walked by the field in the house of the lazy man. His field was grown up. Weeds and took over his crop. The wall that he had built around stone and broke down. Then he said, I received instruction. You know what the instruction was? All the lazy man have coming to him is impoverishment, and that which he have, he gonna lose that. Go ahead and read.
Yet a little sleep, a little slumber,
go ahead,
a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man.
Ain't that something? Little sleep, little slumber. Don't want to do nothing. Well, I don't feel like it's here. Sooner or later, your poverty is going to come up on you. And all of your wants are going to come up on you as an armed man. You ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. Why? Because you forgot to be the man that God appointed. The head. It's all that simple. This is on the man. Yeah. But we don't want to deal with it. This is on the man. Adam tried to throw Eve under the bus. You know, God didn't kill Eve. She killed him, and Eve just died along with it. He didn't blame her. He blamed him. You know why? Because it was all about him. It is still all about us hymns. Proverbs 22. And he tells you about everything, sisters and brothers. This is what I like about this God. He give you all the things to keep you out of trouble. Proverbs 22, we're going to start reading at verse 26. Proverbs 22 and verse 26. Okay, read it.
Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are sureties for debts.
Now, you know, you won't go out and you won't work, but now you're going to borrow something. Hey, you ain't got no job. What's going to happen? Go ahead and read.
If thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee?
Ain't that something? And you get people to do that. If they can borrow money, they borrow. Don't have no means of paying it back. Don't see no means, but I borrowed. I'll deal with that when I get here. Yeah, you're going to deal with it when it comes and set your furniture in the streets. Are they going to come and repossess it? Or going to come and throw you out of your house? You know why? Because you didn't take care of the business like a man of God is supposed to take care of. I don't care who he is. Brother don't go out and put it together. He ain't no man of God. Like the book said, he have denied the faith. He is worse than an infidel. Look what it said. Read verse 29. Verse 29. Go ahead.
Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men.
If you take care of your business, you diligent about it, you're going to stand before king. People are going to be wanting to talk with you, wanting to address you, wanting to ask you, how did you do this?